Hello and welcome to Security Methods and Practice CET 4884. This session will continue addressing phases of the security systems development lifecycle and the role of information security professionals in an organization. To implement information security in your organization, there are two main approaches, the bottom-up approach and the top-down approach. In the first approach, the bottom-up approach, the system administrators look at their system, see some problems, and they try to improve system security. Usually they report it to the upper management asking for some changes. System administrators are trying to work their way up. That's why it was called the bottom-up approach. You are reporting to the top management, so going from down to up. Although this approach has the advantage of the technical expertise of the individual administrators because they know the problem, they experience the problem, so it can be reported correctly. It might not be supported by the upper management and decision makers due to either cost or budgeting or something that the upper management is not approving. The lack of support could be due to other priorities, prioritized projects at that point, and that would not be disclosed by the upper management to system administrators. In the second approach, which is called the top-down approach, there are a higher probability to succeed. In this case, the project is initiated by upper management who issue policy, procedures, and processes dictating the goals and expected outcomes of the project and determine who's accountable for each of the required actions. So basically, they assign the activities to certain people, asking them to finish or complete their roles in these activities. Since this approach has stronger upper management support, or actually it's been initiated by upper management, and they have a champion for that project, and they have funding for that project. Of course, it comes with clear planning, and it has the opportunity to influence organizational culture. The most successful top-down approach also involves a formal development strategy referred to as a systems development life cycle. So it goes into a certain phases when developing that system. This figure shows the direction of the arrows for the two approaches, the top down and the bottom up. The direction of the arrows to show from which direction the pressure for success is driven. The system development life cycle is a methodology for the design and implementation of an information system in an organization, which is based on defining system requirements, analyzing these requirements, design the system, implement, and measure. So basically, you need to look at the current system. You need to look at what you have. And based on that, you identify the requirements. What's the gap to reach to the required goals or to achieve the objectives. So once you identify the requirements to achieve that goal and analyze them, then you design the new system accordingly. Once you design, you're not gonna just stand there and say, we succeeded in designing the system or the implementation, but you are going to measure the success to make sure that you achieved what you need. And if there is another gap that's being created, then I need to do the requirement analysis and redesign or updating the system and so on. This methodology is a formal approach to solving problem based on a structured sequence of procedures that will continue in a loop. Using a methodology ensures a rigorous process and avoids missing those steps that can lead to compromising the end goal. That's why we would like to have a methodology in place. The goal is creating a comprehensive security organizational profile at the end. This diagram shows the main phases of the system development lifecycle, starting with investigating the system to determine information security or system security requirements, moving to analyzing system needs, then designing a recommended system logically and physically, then implementing the new system, then evaluating the new system to identify any new problems or opportunities for improvement, and so on. And this is what we said before. So you have to, after the implementation, you have to measure to make sure that you achieve the goal. If you still have problems or new problems has been created, then you search for another cycle of improvement, and so on. In the security systems development lifecycle, we can adapt the same phases used in the traditional system development lifecycle to support the implementation of security project. The fundamental process is to identify the security issues and problems within the system, including the threats. In addition, alternative solutions and specific controls can be identified to counter these threats. You identify the risk, you identify the vulnerabilities, and then what do I need to do? Those are the solutions or the controls that I need to implement or put in place to counter these threats. The main purpose of the security system development lifecycle is to unify the process of reacting to security breaches and make it a coherent program rather than a series of random seemingly unconnected actions. It's not like, I just want to react to the breach, or I want to react to the threat, and that's it. It has to be organized in a way that will assist the system not only to recover but also to go back to its operational status. Investigation is the first and the most important phase of the system development lifecycle. The investigation of the security system development lifecycle begins with a directive from upper management dictating the process, outcomes, and goals of the project, as well as the constraints placed on the activity. The initiation of the process comes with a full study of cost-benefit analysis to evaluate the perceived benefits and timelines of the project. So already at this point, the upper management knows the security issues. Proposed solutions also, they know some of the proposed solutions and the budget needed and the time frame to finish the security update. So when the upper management already issued a need for that project, already they have all that in place. An organizational feasibility analysis is performed to determine whether the organization has the resources and commitment necessary to conduct a successful security analysis and design. Not all companies will have a security team or will have an IT department that can implement the changes needed for the security measures. So at that point, I need to know my capabilities as an organization. I need to analyze those capabilities. And at that point, I can see if my resources is enough, or I have the team that will be enough to implement the project and make the required security changes, or do I need to just hire a new one. So the feasibility study will include a statement of program security policy that outlines the implementation of security. Teams of responsible managers, employees, and contractors are organized, problems are analyzed, and scope is defined, including goals, objectives, and constraints not covered in the program policy. All the managers, employees, and contractors will work together to implement the security measures needed, and after that measure that implementation to make sure that it did reach to the goal. If not, new problems created, another project will be issued or initiated to address those issues. In the analysis phase, the documents from the investigation phase are studied and additional analysis is performed to verify existing security policies or programs. The analysis phase also includes an analysis of relevant legal issues that could impact the design of security solution. Not only legal issues, but also all risks associated with the implementation of the new security measures. Any identified risk should include suggestions for alternative solutions and a mitigation process for that risk. The logical design phase creates and develops the blueprint for security, and it examines and implements key policies that influence the decision making. Also, at this stage, critical planning is developed to identify the actions required to respond to partial or catastrophic loss incidents. With all the known parameters, a feasibility analysis determines whether or not the project should be executed by the company's IT team or need to be outsourced to a contractor. In the physical design phase, the organization should identify the technologies needed to support the implementation of the new security system, which includes hardware, software, and network. The selected components are evaluated based on a make or buy decision, developed in-house or purchase from a vendor. Alternative solutions are generated and the final design is agreed on. Criteria needed to determine the definition of successful solutions is also prepared during this phase. Included at this time are the designs for physical security measures to support the proposed technological solutions. At the end of this phase, a feasibility study should determine the readiness of the organization for the proposed project, and then the champion and users are presented with the design. At this time, all parties involved have a chance to approve the project before implementation begins. So this is basically the blueprint for that security plan, and we need to review it, look at that, and make sure that it's gonna work and it will be approved by all stakeholders. In the implementation phase, it is the security solutions that will be required, made, or whether we made it in-house or we bought it or we have a contractor to do it. It will be tested, implemented, and tested again. In addition, in this phase, employee educational programs will be developed for training purposes. It's a new system. They didn't use it before, they didn't see it before, so you need to train the employees on how to use the new system. The implementation security solution will be presented to the upper management for final approval. Once have approved, users will be trained and supporting documentation will be created. Again, a feasibility analysis is prepared and the users are then presented with the system for a performance review and acceptance test. The maintenance and change phase is a very important stage. Given the high level of creativity in today's threats, we need that kind of review and change, or maintenance and change. Information being lost and restored on a constant basis, like a war between the bad and the good. As new threats emerges and all threats evolve, The information security profile of an organization requires constant adaptation to prevent threats from successfully penetrating sensitive data. Technology changes, we need to change. Anything new that comes in the market, we need to see if will affect our organization. What kind of technology do I need to do? What kind of update do I need to make? Even after completing the current security project, the security system development lifecycle continues, and the process begins again to identify new threats and new security issues as they appear in the system. In small businesses, one or two ITs might admin the network, might be the one who's working on the network. They will be maintaining computers and work as security professionals. In larger organization, it takes a team of professionals with wide range of expertise and different skills to support the organization information security program. To develop and execute specific security policies and procedures, additional administrative support and technical expertise will be required. Starting from the senior management, the organization needs a Chief Information Officer who is defined as a senior technology officer and might also be recognized under other titles such as Vice President of Information, Vice President of Information Technology, and Vice President of Systems. The CIO is the one responsible for advising the Chief Executive Officer, President, or company owner on the strategic planning that affects the management of information in the organization. Another individual who might be recognized in the organization is the Chief Information Security Officer, who is responsible for the assessment, management, and implementation of securing the information in the organization. The Chief Information Security Officer may also be referred to as the Manager of Security or the Security Administrator or any other titles. The Information Security Project team includes individuals who are experienced in one or multiple areas of security, whether technical or non-technical areas. Starting from the top down, the team will include the champion, who is the senior executive who promotes the project and ensures its support, both financially and from the admin side. At the highest level of the organization, and the team leader, and that's the project manager, who may be a departmental line manager or staff unit manager who understands project management, personnel management, and information security technical requirements. Then we have the security policy developers, and those are individuals who understand the organizational culture, policies, and requirements for developing and implementing successful policies. Then we have the risk assessment specialists, and those are people who understand financial risk, assessment techniques, and the value of the organization assets and the security methods that need to be used to address this kind of risk. And then we have security professionals, and those are dedicated, trained, and well-educated specialists in all aspects of information security from both the technical and non-technical standpoints. Then we have system administrators, and those are people with the primary responsibility for administering the systems that house the information used by the organization. And of course, we're not going to forget the end user, and those are the people who use the system, so they have the most direct impact. Ideally, a selection of users from various departments, levels, and degrees of technical knowledge assist the team in focusing on the application of realistic controls applied in ways that do not disturb or disrupt the essential business activities when they seek safeguard. So I need to collect, or I need to involve the end user, collect their capture their feedback to know exactly what will be needed in the application from a security point of view. The most important part of the system that needs protection is the data and what will be entered. Of course, those are the data is the one that will be most used or utilized and stored. Data that has critical information that can affect large population. Part of the team will own the safeguard the data, while another part of the team will use it with different levels of access. Based on that, we can identify 3 entities in the system that will be directly related to data as part of their responsibility. First, the data owner, who is responsible for the security and use of a particular set of information. Data owners usually determine the level of data classification associated with the data, as well as changes to the classification required by organization change. Data custodian, who is responsible for the storage, maintenance, and protection of the information. The duties of a data custodian often include overseeing data storage and backups, implementing the specific procedures and policies laid out in the security policies and plans, and reporting to the data owner. Data users and those individuals are the end system users who work with the information to perform their daily jobs supporting the mission of the organization. Everyone in the organization is responsible for the security of data. So data users are included here as individuals with an information security role. With large organizations, each organization develops and maintains its own unique culture and values. Within that corporate culture, there are communities of interest. This includes information security management and professionals, information technology management and professionals, and organizational management and professionals. One of the questions that might be asked about information security is it an art or a science? Looking at the complexity of information systems and many cases, the implementation of information security has been described as a combination of the art and science. So it's considered as both art and science at the same time. Designing the system is considered an art that differs from one person to another. It's like designing or building a house. When you do the blueprint for a house, it differs from one designer to another. Yes, it differs, but there are no regulations or no set stone rules that will force you to do these security measures or mechanisms. Actually, you cannot find many universally accepted complete solutions that can be used as a standard template to follow. You cannot protect your system 100%. That's why there's nothing universally that fits all. The design of each organization system differ with the organization requirements and culture. While there are many manuals to support individual systems, once these systems are interconnected, there is no magic user's manual for the security of the entire system. This is especially true with the complex levels of interaction between users, policy, and technology control. At the same time, we consider the implementation of information security as science that has been developed by computer scientists and engineers, a technology designed to perform at rigorous levels of performance. In addition, there are some scientific conditions that cause all actions that might happen in computer systems. Almost every fault, security hole, and systems malfunction is a result of the interaction of specific hardware and software. With the feedback from computer users, developers can improve the system and resolve or even eliminate these faults. There is a third view that considers security as a social science. A social science examines the behavior of individuals as they interact with the system, whether social systems or, in our case, information systems. Science in a security system, or since in a security system, people inside the organization interact with the developed system by understanding how they interact or behave, security administrators can reduce the risk. Just by studying the behavior of the employees or the behavior of the people within the system, you can actually avoid some of the risk or some of the vulnerabilities. Based on the known behavior, security administrator can develop a plan to mitigate and to address some security issues. They can train the employees. So from your personal opinion, which one do you think is more accurate? Do you think that security is an art? Is security a science? Or security is a social science? That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you and have a great day.